Okay, the Pope visit and the apologies to the First Nation. What does it mean? And how is our feelings or our impressions about that? So today I am with,
Jean Ketch,
and Jean is,
a devout Catholic.
and I am Pastor Marco, and I am obviously a Protestant minister. And so we're going to have a conversation today, and I find that very interesting that we can relate, even though we're coming from two different church, but we do have connections. So let us start. What does that mean for a Catholic to have the Pope visit? Because that's, in my mind, it's almost like a superstar. You see people crying when they see him. They want to be touched by him. He kisses babies. What does that mean for a Catholic that the Pope is coming into their neck of the wood?
It is huge. It is so huge. And if I were not a little old white woman, I would have gotten tickets and gone to see him.
Yeah.
I would have braved the crowds. He came for the Indigenous, and I really don't think that it was my place to be there. But when I saw the crowds, I saw there were a lot more white people and Filipinos and other just regular Catholics than there necessarily were Indigenous. He's a superstar.
Yeah.
He's the head of the church, and this Pope is amazing. I adore this Pope.
He obviously is bringing a lot of change for sure. But what does that mean for him to come here and to apologize? What does that mean for you as a white woman?
For me as a white woman, and you've got to understand, this is coming from a white woman. I am not Indigenous.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I have a place to speak to this, except that I'm Catholic and he is my Pope. Right? I am so proud that he has come. He is old. He is frail. He's given up, canceled other trips so that he could come to this. He came in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
It was at great personal expense, not monetary expense, but personal expense for him to come. And I believe that every word that he said, he meant with absolute sincerity. And I'm very proud that my church has finally, because I have some huge issues with the Catholic Church and the Indigenous, and there are still some issues.
Yes.
But I am most proud that my Pope has come to try to help this journey of healing along.
How do you feel? And that's what I was thinking today. The United Church and the Anglican Church both made apologies and decades ago. How do you feel about the church, the Catholic Church? And I'm not saying obviously you're not answering for all Catholics. You will be answering for your own experience. But how does that feel? Is it like too little, too late? Is it finally a step into healing?
It's a little bit too little, too late. But at the same time that the United Church and the Anglican Church made their apologies, the Pope at the time also apologized. He didn't do it on Canadian soil. He didn't do it from his balcony, but he did it in conversation with Indigenous people who were there.
And who was the Pope at the time?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
My guess it was JP2.
Okay.
Right? I don't know the exact years, but I think it was probably JP2.
Also known as Jean-Paul.
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 Jean-Paul II, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and then this Pope again, when the Indigenous delegation went to see him, he again apologized to them. He spent many more hours with them than he does normal people that come to see him, right? He gave a large chunk of his time. He apologized then. And they said they wanted to see an apology on Canadian soil, and he said, I will do it. So this little old man came to Canada.
And well, you and I today read the apology, and I think it's really beautifully worded, and it's full of humility and Christian values.
Absolutely. There are some, and I don't know, this is the problem with social media, right? You hear all of these other opinions, and I don't know if they're actually the opinions of the Indigenous people or if their opinions of white people who think he should have done more, or
Well,
both.
Well, then I'm just going to stop you right now because I was watching some, obviously, like you guys at home, we do research before we do this. We just don't just jump in and be like, okay, let's have an opinion about a title on the newspaper.
Right.
But this woman said, it's helping me heal. It's going to help me heal. And that's like, okay, good for you. It's helping her heal, and I think apologies does that. And she said, however, he did not apologize for sexual abuse, which was a big part of it all as well. There was also an apology about the loss of culture, an apology. I think it was well-rounded, but she said he did not mention the sexual abuse, and it was from a First Nation woman.
He said that he apologized for the harm
Mm-hmm.
that Christians, Catholics had done to the Indigenous. I would lump sexual abuse under that.
So that would be kind of an all-encompassing type of apology.
I don't think he apologized for physical abuse either, and they were beaten. I don't think he apologized necessarily for the fact that they didn't have enough food.
Yeah.
He said that he apologized for the harm that was done, and I think that includes all of the abuses. What he didn't do is apologize on behalf of the church. He said that some priests and nuns or some Christians had done, right? And I know I have friends, white friends, who are very upset about that. I apologize for the church, for the harm that the church has done. But here's the thing. Church is all of us, right?
I mean, meaning the body of Christ
The body
altogether.
of Christ.
Okay.
And the Catholic Church is all of us,
Yeah.
all encompassing.
Uh-huh.
I do not believe that the Catholic Church, it ever came down in the doctrine or the dogma or the instructions given to priests to do harm. These priests did that on themselves. So he's not going to apologize for the whole body. He's apologizing
For because the problem is, as I'm seeing it, the problem is with this apology. I'm not saying you should not have done it. Like, what I'm saying is the problem with the apology is, and some people will say, well, only some have been hurt, not all, or they were not all awful. But the problem is this was a systemic problem, and that's what you need to. That's why you need to apologize, right?
Yes.
Like, and to be like, the Catholic Church has done harm and was complicit with the government. Because the thing is, and I think we mentioned that in our last podcast, you said, well, if the church would have said, well, we disagree with this, but we'll give these children the best we can give them,
yes,
and be complicit in a positive way in learning their language, in keeping their culture, in all of this. But the church was willing. The church was willing, and
But when you say the church,
the Catholic. Well, I'm saying the Catholic Church.
The Catholic Church, but I don't look at that as the whole Catholic Church, because remember, like, the United Church is the United Church of Canada.
Mm-hmm.
The Anglican Church is the Anglican Church of Canada.
So would you say the Catholic Church of Canada then?
Yes, and I do believe that the Canadian Council of Bishops did apologize on behalf of the Canadian Church. And that means more to me
than the Pope.
Because I'm not 100% sure that whatever Pope it's been over the years, sitting up in his little chair in Vatican City, really knew what was going on.
No, probably not. Probably not,
right?
because the Pope in many ways are the guardians of the doctrines.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
Like, that's what they do. They're not necessarily church administrator, knowing.
And so the church, the Catholic Church as a whole, I'm almost positive that the priests and bishops in Africa didn't have a clue, or the ones in Brazil and Peru did not have a clue. So the fact that the Canadian Council of Catholic Bishops issued an apology, to me is more telling
But
than the Pope.
I was thinking about that today regarding an apology, and I think an apology is always the first step towards
Absolutely.
healing, because someone is owning the hurt. Someone is saying, "I've hurt you, and I apologize. I had no place of doing it,
Yes.
and sorry, I have no excuse for that."
And he most certainly said that these people that hurt the Indigenous were Catholics.
Yeah.
And I apologize for
However,
those Catholics.
my question is, and when I say my question is, what I'm thinking, okay, because I always say when you apologize, first it has to be with words, and second it has to be done with actions.
Absolutely.
I have to hear your apology, and I have to see your apology. And obviously it is too soon. He's not even back to the Vatican now. But I wonder what that apology will mean in the future for the First Nation of Canada.
Okay. I have no idea, but here is my take on it all. That Pope Francis, God bless his soul, coming to Canada
Mm-hmm.
and apologizing to the Indigenous here on this land is just sort of like a rubber stamp. Nothing is going to come from the Vatican that is going to make anything different. What is going to happen is that things are going to come from the Canadian Conference of Catholic
Mhm.
Bishops. That is what's going to make things different. And I don't know what other bishops are doing, but I am very proud of my bishop. My bishop has been working very closely over the last couple of years with the Indigenous chiefs and trying to move forward. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I know they could do a hell of a lot better. Like, there are some things that really irritate me. It took them many, many years to decide they're going to actually pay the $30 million it's owned.
Yeah.
And that comes with stipulations. There is an oversight, right? So when Father got up in church and said, we're going to give the Indigenous people $30 million, he didn't say, hey, the $30 million that we reneged on decades ago. He said, we're going to give them $30 million. But don't you worry. There's going to be oversight of that money so that it will be spent towards healing.
And again, if the money given is supervised, like it still is, the system is still there. Like the systemic problem is still there.
The systemic problem is still there. And that is absolute racism. And
Correct.
I've talked to my Catholic friends about this, and they say, no, it's not, no, it's not. It sure as hell is. There has been more than $30 million paid to upper-class little white boys that were diddled by priests, and nobody was checking to see that money didn't go in their arms. So then maybe they should have. Maybe they should have. Maybe it's good to have oversight for this money to make sure it goes towards healing. But then if you're going to have that, then bloody hell, make sure those little white boys don't put it up their arms either, because I know a lot of them do.
That's correct.
They did.
That's correct.
And the other thing is, I want to know what that oversight looks like. Does that mean that they have to go to Catholic social services for counseling?
Correct.
Because holy shit, if it's the Catholic Church that harmed them, they should not have to go.
Yeah, it's basically like your rapist saying, like, I'm going to bring healing to you.
Right?
Kind of thing,
Yes,
right? Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So then I'd want to see more money put into the reserve communities so that they can have their traditional healing. So if that means helping build more sweat lodges, if that means more, I don't know.
I'm just going to change not subject. Well, we're still on a subject, but it got me thinking of, and I have something before we stop this podcast. I have something maybe that we both could do, but I'll keep it for the end.
Okay.
And sorry I didn't tell you beforehand, because it got me thinking more on a personal level. The church has committed the sin of arrogance.
Oh, frick. Time and
Right?
time and time.
And when I'm
again.
saying the church, I'm talking in this specific situation in our country. The church has committed the sin of the arrogance, the sin of extreme pride or hubris, however you want to name it, where they're basically saying, we are the moral authority, we are the example to follow, not Jesus, we.
And I have asked that to when my priest has gone up and given amazing homilies.
Yeah.
I've gone up to him afterwards and I said, that was an amazing homily. But the church is not following what you tell us to do. And he said, I know, right? The priests know. I don't.
Well,
it's so hard. It's hard for me. I love my faith. I love the Catholic Church. But when I see the stupid things,
the arrogance.
The arrogance. But again, also, when I see the attacks on the Catholic Church, it hurts me. Like, it really hurts me. There are people who were saying that his apology didn't go far enough because he apologized the first day. The second day at Mass,
he held Mass and it was basically forgotten, right? Like, not forgotten, but it was not part of the liturgy or part of
It was not. But what these people who are not Catholics don't understand, that there is a form to the Catholic
Correct.
Mass.
Yeah, that's right.
And the homily must reflect the first reading in the Gospel. I don't think that it was an accident that Mass, the papal Mass, was held on the feast of St. Anne. St. Anne and Joachim were Jesus' grandparents. The indigenous people are real, their elders mean an awful lot to them, right? They have way more respect for their elders than we do. And he talked about respecting the elders. Your elders, your grandparents. The grandparents play a large role in the indigenous faith, right? When they go
and the
into
education of the young.
Absolutely. And when they go into the sweat lodge, they call on the help of the grandparents who are already in the spirit world. So I thought that the homily was perfect for the situation. I thought that it reinforced the belief that our culture is necessary, that our elders are necessary, that the grandfathers are necessary.
That it's a community thing, really.
Absolutely.
I almost I don't have the same problem. I don't have the same challenge when it comes from me as a United Church minister. When I lead service, I don't want to say I can go against my church, but I can really. It's very different, right?
Yes.
The structure is very different
is 100%
because
different.
the Catholic Church is top down and the most Protestant church is really bottom up. So the changes can come from the congregational level, right?
Yes.
And that's how it came about for the apology that was done in 1988, for example.
Yes.
It started from the congregation level and it went up. So for me, that concept of regulation, if you will, of worship is very foreign to me.
Right.
Let's conclude with this. And I'm sorry if we have Presbyterian people watching. I'm not sure if the Presbyterian Church of Canada did an apology. I'm assuming they did. But please comment below if I don't have it right. The United Church has apologized.
The United Church has apologized.
Twice. The first apology to me was a joke. It was not well written, and it was still like with that white background, white privileged background. But did another apology. The Catholic Church, or at least the Pope came a few days ago, issued an apologies to the First Nation. I wonder, Jean, if you and I could give a personal apology to the First Nation.
Absolutely. I went to, when I first realized the extent of the residential schools, I was working for Children's Services up in Stony Plain, and we did an Indigenous Cultural Day. And we had the Indigenous social workers come and show us what had happened. They talked. And I was just heartbroken that the church that has brought me so much joy and peace and healing would bring so much pain to somebody else. And I apologized to them. And I would apologize again. I can't speak for my church, but I am so very, very sorry that it ever happened. And if there was something that I could do to ever stop it from happening again, be known that I will. I have written a letter to our bishop asking him to insist to the Curia to rescind the doctrine of discovery. Yeah, I just am sick at what has happened to the Indigenous because of a church that I follow.
And to whoever is watching right now, my apology is I'm sorry I didn't know what happened to you. I thought that you should just get over it, like many people, white people like me, would think. I'm sorry of all the suffering. I'm sorry that I also represent, in many ways, suffering to you just because I'm white. Just know that I'm here and I'm trying to make amends on a daily basis, not only through my work in ministry, but anything else outside my ministry, anything outside the church. And I'm on a journey of learning, and I'm on a journey of discovering. So just know that I am there, and I'm trying to do my best.
And if you're in Rimbey or area, please keep your eye open, because I'm the librarian in Rimbey, and I'm planning on doing one Truth and Reconciliation event per month for the next 12 months, starting in September.
So there you go, guys. We are from Rimbey, both of us, and we are working here in Rimbey as well. And we are doing our best. So my apologies for my ignorance. I'm trying to learn more and more every day. So thank you guys for humoring us, I guess. I hope you still have a church to go to on Sunday. And I hope that I'm keeping that healing path. So thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time when there's something else that we feel like we want to share. So thanks for watching, and please share that video. It doesn't hurt me, it doesn't hurt Jean, it doesn't hurt anybody. It actually helps. So thank you for watching. Bye.
Thanks.